Hi guys, hope you're okay. This is Daniel. So I've officially reached 300 days of NoFap slash semen retention and feeling quite smug, very happy with the progress that I've made over the last 300 days. But this is just going to be more of a candid overview of what I've experienced because, like many people who've gone on this journey, I have looked at lots of videos online, tried to get some different perspectives on what to expect. And before I did that, I also did some research into what's known as the Brahmacharya, and that is effectively a subsect of some Indian religions, which basically means to be one with Brahman. And Brahman in Hindu texts is known as the cosmic entities or the cosmic force, essentially. And what that means is that when you go through the process of celibacy and semen retention in particularly, you are deemed able to kind of increase lots of physical attributes such as your inner strength, your nervous system, your muscular retention, the physical and mental energy, all sorts of different benefits which I think a lot of people have experienced and touted along the way. So I'm not going to rehash all of them here. But what I will say is that in my personal experience, I think I reached a bit of a plateau, maybe roughly about the 90-day mark, which is roughly about 3 months in. And generally they say that when you get to that point, you've usually broken the habit of wanting to go back into pleasuring yourself. So, excuse me. So not a lot has really changed from that point for me. What's been interesting during the lockdown, I think that the lack of having a routine in terms of the gym has really been a bit of a test for me actually, because being in the house with not an awful lot to do, I think it was almost like the universe's way of saying, are you really committed to this process? And as I've mentioned in previous videos, I do recognise that I've got a very high libido and very high sex drive. And with that, I found myself in situations where, even though I have been practicing semen retention, it didn't stop me from reaching out to people, maybe sharing pictures and sharing videos, private ones. And I'm not really ashamed of that, because I think one of the things I see on this journey in terms of trying to go into a mode of being very pious and quite, I don't know, just very clean thinking in the way that you actually conduct yourself. I think that's good to a degree, but it's almost like you don't want to really abstain from something to the point where it becomes a distraction. And what I mean by that is, if you're constantly thinking about not having sex or constantly thinking about not doing something, then in turn you end up overthinking it. So my method is to be mindful of what I am desiring, maybe entertain it enough to a degree that it doesn't become too detrimental. So, for example, in my situation, that meant edging, which basically means you are, maybe working yourself up to a point where you feel very euphoric, but you don't explode all of your contents. And that has been quite beneficial for me, but what I have realised is just how much I do miss having an orgasm, really, because I actually haven't had one without the intervention of wet dreams since the 1st of September last year. So that is a real I think that's quite a bit of a sad revelation I've just realised actually, because it's not to say that this process is you're meant to completely abstain from everything. I think there's a time and a season, especially if you're looking at the whole Brahmacharya practice, which is where you have got the celibacy mindset. But I think there is a time and a place to have that release, and I think it's more it's more controlled and more measured effectively, as opposed to just a flat out, it's never going to happen again. But you do have these moments of feeling really weird when you talk to people about it, because that's one of the biggest tests as well. When I've been talking to people on dating apps, and a lot of people do think that you're a bit crazy, and they're like, why would you do this? And you have to often ask yourself the question, like, why am I doing this? What is it for? But in terms of the benefits that I've experienced, such as the things that I mentioned previously, you do have a real sense of accomplishment of knowing that you've abstained from something that is such a powerful force. In particular for a man, I mean, I'm not too sure what it's like for a woman in terms of the sex drive. I can only speak for myself anyway, well, in this particular instance. Um, but I definitely think it's one of the most advantageous things a person can do, especially if you are struggling with sexual addiction, or if you are struggling with the idea of just having a sense of purpose, really. And if you're looking to get some self-control, what it does is it gives you a complete distraction from yourself in a similar way that you would get with even doing charity work, because what you're doing is you're taking the focus directly away from yourself, even though it is for your own personal long-term gain. But by taking yourself out of the fray and not being the one who's receiving all of this artificial pleasure, in the form of all these dopamine hits, you essentially give your body a break. You give your body a chance to recognize and understand just how powerful an orgasm actually is. And you also give yourself a fighting chance to pursue other things outside of the bedroom that you wouldn't necessarily consider if you were always, searching and scrolling through several pages of Pornhub. But yeah, I don't really know what the future holds for me at this stage. I mean, I do think that, as I've said, I'm very open-minded to the future and where things go. I don't want to go back into my old habits. I don't think it's not an option at this stage. But knowing that I can get to this particular point has been really advantageous, and I think I'll just continue on going until I meet somebody, maybe, or even, just hopefully get back into a routine when the gyms start to open, because I am missing that routine. And I think that, again, this period has been a bit of a test for me, just to kind of see whether it is something I want to pursue, and it definitely is. But as I say, you don't get a lot of superpowers going through this whole process. You just, I think, in conjunction with a healthy diet, a healthy routine of some sort, and just the will to actually try and see something through, I think that is enough to give you the most benefits that you'll actually get from this whole experience. And if you need some additional help in terms of trying to actually abstain from a lot of things, I would just recommend giving yourself a bit of a detox from the internet in some capacity. Websites like, well, Pornhub, they're quite detrimental if you are trying to overcome that. Even Instagram as well, there's a lot of profiles on there that are quite risque. And if you are looking to go cold turkey, it does take a lot of willpower. But I think having a goal in your mind as to what you want to achieve at the end of it, that will really help you. And it helped me. And I was able to achieve a lot of the goals that I set, which was, really, really good. So now it's about trying to set some new ones. And I guess the next step for me, just to give you a brief overview, is how do I actually cultivate having an orgasm, maybe an ejaculation-free orgasm. I think that's something I'd be really intrigued to try, because, again, I really do find the benefit of the semen retention journey to be very, very powerful. It's done a lot for my own life. I don't want to undo that record now that I've got so far in. So yeah, the sexual evolution continues. But if anyone is familiar with this particular practice in terms of ejaculation-free orgasms, I'd love to hear your advice. But until the next video, which may or may not be about this topic, who knows, I just wish you all the best. Thank you for listening for this long if you got this far into the video. Let me know what your thoughts are on your particular journey, if you've got anything to share that you think would be beneficial. But yeah, until the next video, I hope you're all well, take care, and speak soon. Goodbye.